Okay, so this is my third iteration and it works quite well. I'm still using an air blower as my on-off valve. That would get replaced by a solenoid valve to work automatically. Above that, I've got a regulator valve that from an ice maker, and that has been pre-tuned to set such that when 1 second of air passes through it at 4 bar, it delivers about 400 cc's of air, which is what the atmospheric volume is that a patient should take in. That then goes into a T-junction. I'm using 3/16 tubing. There is my manometer, and on the other side I hooked it up to a drink bottle, and the reason is so that the diameter and the volume of the water in that bottle would be a lot higher. So when the water level in the tube drops by 10 centimeters, the volume in the bottle goes up by considerably less, almost nothing, relatively speaking. So I've made the tube a little bigger, so the bottom of the tube is 40 centimeters below the water level in there. So my overpressure mechanism is that if the patient isn't breathing in, the water level in the tube will drop all the way down, and at some point it'll just start bubbling up the top, and that acts as a pressure relief. And then as soon as the cycle stops, the water in the bottle just flows back and refills it. So it's an overpressure valve that closes itself. When I put my mouth on this and breathe from it, what I find is that if I allow the air to flow into my throat easily, it will. If I apply resistance very quickly, because there's such a small volume of air in here, very quickly that air will pressurize, push the column down, and I will get up to 350 or, well, 400 millimeters of water pressure, forcing that air into my lungs. So now if we automate this valve and make it a solenoid valve and put a timer on it, it will in fact pulse air into my lungs at a rate of 400 ml per breath at pressures that will follow whatever my resistance is, up to 40 centimeters of water. And obviously by mounting the bottle higher or less high, effectively varying the length of that tube, you can change what peak pressure you want it to get to before it won't go any higher, so you don't risk injuring the patient. Okay, so here you're going to see it in action. The first thing I'll do is I will allow my throat to be open so the air can flow into my throat with very little back pressure. So, I don't know if you can see it on the camera, but the water level in here didn't move at all. I'll now close my lips and apply some amount of back pressure. And you can see the water column was coming down to about here. Now I'm going to close it off altogether. I don't even have to put my mouth on. I'll just plug it, and you'll see what happens when the pressure exceeds 40 centimeters. It just starts bubbling in the bottle, and then as soon as I relax pressure, the water flows back in and refills the tube. So I'm getting a substantial pressure surge in my lungs prior to that bottle bubbling over. So it seems to be working as a very effective pressure regulator. Not so much pressure regulator, flow regulator, because it's varying the pressure, and the time is fixed, so the flow is going to be regulated into the patient's lungs as desired with a built-in overpressure valve.